Every year during the entire year, we get about 80,000 people through the entire season. The winter and spring, we consider about 40,000 as being the rough number. And a majority of those people are coming in April and May. So we can have very big weekend days when it's nice out. So late April and May, on a sunny Saturday, we can have upwards of potentially up to 3,000, 3,500 people up here. But once we get around 2,000, that's an awfully busy day. We're seeing the youth spread out through the winter. You know, 10 years ago, you come up here in the midwinter, kind of like today. Today's awfully quiet, and we're starting to see that youth spreading out throughout the winter. More and more people coming up here, even when the lifts are running. More and more folks, I think, are looking for that alternative backcountry experience, that extreme experience. So we don't necessarily see the numbers increasing if you added them all up for the entire season, but we're starting to see perhaps some of the big weekend days decreasing, and some of that use kind of spreading out into the wintertime. So that's one of the reasons we're seeing more and more avalanche accidents up here and through the northern part of the forest. So our big push is in the winter to get out the bulletin, be prepared for rescues and searches, and then the avalanche education is a big part of what we do more and more all the time, and more people are interested in getting out. Maybe 6 or 7 years ago, we only had one avalanche course roughly a winter here, but we really tried to push a lot of folks in the valley, a lot of guides and guide schools to provide those courses, and this year we've had probably upwards of 30 avalanche courses up here. So we spent a lot of time working with them, giving folks talks out here, and occasionally working with them in the field and doing snow pits and such. Even though people are taking courses, and when we talk to those courses, we say, you know, this is the first piece of information you have. Keep seeking out that information for your entire life, and that's a big part of our job here, is to try to continue that educational process and get people to realize that they'll never know it all. And statistically, if you look at the national trend, the people that are getting caught in avalanches are the people that aren't necessarily experts, and they're not also beginners. They're moved into that intermediate range where when you're first taking a course, you realize you don't quite know much yet and you're kind of conservative. And then as you get more and more skilled, you feel more and more confident about your abilities. And it's that window between the beginner and the person that's been in the field for years and years, I think, that are catching most people. As the season progresses, we move from winter into spring, and as we get into April, winter and May, winter days are more infrequent, but any time winter day can come back to Mount Washington all the way through the year. So we do think about avalanches all the way through spring skiing, but it becomes less and less of a problem as we move into May. So people need to be aware of that. The other 4 big things I think about for spring skiers are weather. So people checking out down below before they come up, or on the Mount Washington Observatory's website, what has the weather been and what's the weather forecasted to be like today. You know, down at Pinkham or in North Conway, it really might be a beautiful day, but let's say it's 60 degrees in North Conway, it could be 10 degrees with 80-mile-an-hour winds on the summit. So realizing that it'll change dramatically within a short distance. Crevasses, as the spring progresses, snow starts to pull away from other parts of the snow. We start to get these large slots. And they're not true crevasses in the sense that we don't have a glacier up there. They're more extremely large snow cracks, but we call them crevasses because they do the same thing to people. When people fall in, they can get pretty hurt. And some of our crevasses are 80 to 90 feet deep, depending on where you might fall in. Undermined snow, as spring melts snow and we get more and more running water underneath snow, we get these areas of very thin snow surface. You can hear the water running underneath, and the more running water we get, the more chance that snow might collapse. So we've had people that have skied in the ravine and they break through, in the end create their own hole or crevasse as they fall into water. And after avalanches, icefall is the biggest problem in the spring. And if you look long term at what most of our accidents are happening from, besides falls, is icefall injuries. So some of the ice that comes off that head wall can be the size of automobiles. As all that sun starts to slowly melt all the snow away in the ravine, all that ice becomes re-exposed, and the days that people really want to be here, those sunny, warm spring days, are the same days where icefall hazard's the highest. So we can have a fair amount of icefall on the big days based on beautiful weather.
When you're in the Mount Washington Valley, tune in to RSN tv16. Start every day with the Mountain Report at RSN Outdoors. RSN's guide to the Mount Washington Valley gives you a close-up look at the area's best attractions. Get a digital dose of the outdoors with Real Thrills, Extreme Scene, and RSN Movie Nights. These are the White Mountains. This is their TV channel, RSN TV16, North Conway. TV16 Resort Television.